Jungkook and UMG LA, the harbinger of a new era of K-pop begins. Los Angeles once again witnessed the presence of one of the biggest icons of the global Hallyu wave, BTS's Jungkook. However, this time it is not just an ordinary trip or a holiday visit. Hot news circulating from various sources, fan base, and music industry observers. Jungkook was seen leaving a building suspected to be the offices of Universal Music Group, UMG, in LA. Although the HYB side has not yet given an official statement, the emerging signals point to something much bigger, a strategic transcontinental collaboration that could change the face of the K-pop music industry forever. Sources from the American music industry say that UMG is paving the way for Asian artists to go deeper into the global market, not just as a guest, but as a major player. In this strategy, the figure of Jungkook, who has been widely known in the US through the success of Seven, Standing Next to You, and his collaborations with international musicians, touted as a golden bridge between the two worlds. K-pop and the American mainstream music market. Jungkook's sighting in the West Hollywood area, where UMG's branch office is located, not welcomed by the spotlight of media cameras, but rather through the keen observation of his fans. One of the ex-users, formerly Twitter, shared a short 10-second video showing a man in a black hat, wearing sunglasses, and wearing a black leather jacket which is very similar to Jungkook's signature style, entered the building with a tight escort. Although his face was not fully visible, the tattoos on the figure's right hand were highly recognizable to the army. The caption of the video went viral. Did he just enter UMG LA? This is not a drill. A few hours after the video went viral, a mysterious upload appeared from a well-known American music producer who had previously worked with Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande. In an Instagram post, she wrote, "Studio was on fire today. JK knows how to shake walls." Despite not mentioning the full name, the fans attributed it to Jungkook. Moreover, the producer is known to have previously also liked BTS-related uploads. Does this mean that a global collaboration is being conceived? Some observers estimate that this meeting was more than a one-song project. Allegations lead to the planning of Jungkook's global album release through UMG distribution channels, or even more devastating, a strategic contract between HYB and UMG to take BTS to a higher global level in their upcoming comeback. If we look back, the relationship between HYB and UMG has indeed developed over the past few years. In 2021, the two industry giants had announced a partnership to launch a global label. However, recent activity seems to reinforce that large projects that were previously experimental, now it's starting to refocus with a more defined target, and Jungkook is the main card in that plan. Several fan forums discussed the possibility of launching an English-language album from Jungkook that could break the Billboard 200 and establish him as the highest-placed K-pop soloist in American chart history. In fact, a number of insider accounts mention that Jungkook has recorded several new tracks with top composers and songwriters, including those who previously worked in the projects of Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, and Dua Lipa, not stopping there. Rumors also mentioned that the recording sessions were not only conducted at the UMG studio, but rather in some legendary locations in LA, including Capitol Studios and the Record Plant. The studio is known as the cradle of many iconic albums throughout the history of world music. If these rumors are true, then this is not just an ordinary tape. It is a world-class production with global scale and ambition. For the K-pop world, Jungkook's emergence in the heart of the American music industry is not just a sign of cross-country collaboration. It is a declaration that K-pop artists are no longer just Asian stars exploring the Western market, but the centerpiece of a new global orbit. An era in which the boundaries of genre, language, and culture began to blur, replaced by a universal narrative carried by music, emotion, and a deep connection between artists and fans. No Wonder Army began speculating that Jungkook would be a pioneer in strengthening K-pop as a global genre, not just a momentary trend. With HYB's support, UMG's strength, and Jungkook's undeniable dedication and charisma, this possibility is even more real. While the world continued to speculate, Enthusiasts began to string together points of possibility finally dispersed through digital signals. From mysterious Instagram likes of Hollywood producers to studio playlist sets leaked on Twitter, the atmosphere in the ARMY community is full of fun suspense because they knew that every second of Jungkook's movement was no accident. Even details such as the outfit Jungkook wore when entering the UMG building became a hot topic of discussion. The color, style, and brand of shoes worn seem to be additional puzzles that need to be solved to reveal what is happening behind the scenes. What makes things even more interesting is the timing of Jungkook's presence, which is very close to rumors that some other BTS members, especially Jimin, also in the United States on a secret mission that has not yet been revealed. Some reports say that Jimin was seen at LAX airport a few days earlier, and although there is no complete visual documentation, ARMY quickly recognized the artist's signature patterns and style, from his hoodie to street posture. Does this mean more than just a solo project? Could be. Some sources mention that HYB is strategizing the launch of BTS's big comeback, which will be designed in 2 stages. The solo project phase highlighted each member's individual strengths, followed by a full group comeback that involved working on their 10th studio album. If true, then the interaction between Jungkook and UMG is not an independent movement, but rather part of a much broader and much more surprising strategy. Music industry analysts are starting to speak up. A Billboard columnist wrote in his weekly newsletter that the meeting between Jungkook and UMG was a logical step in BTS' global domination map, which has been delayed since the conscription period began. He added that no other Asian artist has the cross-demographic appeal that Jungkook currently has, making him the most ideal player to pave the way for a new generation of K-pop in America. Even among local American musicians, the signals of this movement began to be felt. An anonymous account on Reddit claiming to be a studio assistant in LA posted that the vibe of the recording session was very emotional and powerful. Someone from Asia recorded the vocals with a very deep intensity, and everyone in the control room seemed to fall silent after one take. Despite not naming names, many fans were convinced that the statement referred to Jungkook. What is also interesting is how all this was carried out almost without promotions, without teasers, without official announcements. This creates an atmosphere of silent drop that has so far only been performed by world-class artists such as Beyoncé or Frank Ocean. If this strategy is adopted by HYB and UMG for the Jungkook Global Project, the launch will be one of the biggest surprises in modern K-pop history, and of course, the whole world is watching. Not only South Korea, but also music fans in Europe, Latin America, the Middle East, to Southeast Asia. Because Jungkook is not just a music icon, he is a symbol of cultural transition, a representation of a global generation that erases geographical boundaries through art and emotion. He is able to convey a universal message only with a touching tone, gaze, and lyrics. What happens in LA isn't just about the record. It's about momentum. About a carefully crafted strategic decision to set off a massive explosion at the right time. And for fans, it's a reminder that sometimes the biggest things start with the quietest steps. Jungkook probably didn't say anything when he left the UMG building. Not a word. But the world has heard. Now, all that remains is to wait for the next explosion. And when that happens, no one will escape the shock. A new era is no longer a discourse. A new era has begun. The world can only wait and prepare. If this meeting really results in a global-scale project, so the year 2026 could witness the breaking of record after new record. And when Jungkook steps from the studio onto the world stage with his latest work, all will know a new era of K-pop has begun. Not with a big bang, but with a silent step full of power that began in a modest building in Los Angeles.